by reason of power, has overcome the strengths, by the strength of his appetite, and the light of his perception was shrouded in darkness, and so on. King Dabsalim of India spoke thus to Bidpai, that was called the Fables of Bidpai originally, chief of the Brahmins, the priests in India. Expound to me the parable of two men who love one another, but by reason of cunning slander, stirring up mischief between them, their friendship was shattered and converted to enmity. And Bidpai replied, whenever two friends are afflicted by interference of an evil rogue, inevitably they fall apart and break with each other. Among the many examples and instances of that is the story of the lion and the ox. What is that story? And Bidpai starts to tell him the story of the lion and the ox. So you get stories within stories within stories. This is on page 75 of Arbery, but I don't think you have it, because I didn't have it Xerox, so I'll just read you this myself. O my sons, the people of this world seek three goals, and do not arrive at them except they possess four qualities, very philosophical, very abstract, commentary on human relations. Three goals at which men aim are ample livelihood, high esteem among their fellows, and heavenly reward. The four conditions that are necessary for achieving these things are the acquisition of wealth. I told you this is the shopkeeper world now. By respectable means, the careful preservation of a fortune once it has been won. Keep your money. Make sure you conserve it and make it grow. The prudent expending of one's substance so as to secure a good life and satisfy one's friends and family while providing for the journey to eternity. That's always a secondary thought. And finally, the guarding of one's soul as far as possible against the various attitudes and vicissitudes that might corrupt it. So it goes on in this analysis, and as one sees, there's nothing Islamic in this book. Nothing Islamic except occasionally something to do with worry about the afterlife. But on the whole, it's encouraging people to learn how to live in this world, get along in this world, make money if you can, in fact, keep that money, help your friends, help your family, and make a good name for yourself. So it's the bourgeois ethic, really. And it isn't surprising that it was frowned on by more purist Muslims in the early days, but this was the first prose work, and I said actually the writer of it was ultimately executed. And it has a lot of, I know that some of my students like or dislike these things. It has a lot of passages in it which are so crass that it would make your jaw drop open. I mean, some of the things in it are so sort of vulgar that it's like, oh, did he really write that? Did he really say that? And it's to entertain the audience. I think Baudelaire, the French poet, said it. I have included a little bit of pornography in my work to please the gentleman of the press, as he put it. So basically, some of these things are thrown in there these are stories that are told to circles of people in courtly venues to entertain and teach at the same time, before the movies came along in the modern world. So this first story that is told is about, I think, a man who has some oxen, and what happens to them when he charges his sons to take care of these animals. The sons listen attentively to their father's advice and good counsel and recognize fully the wisdom and profit of his remarks. The eldest brother thereupon turned his attention to commerce and elected to go on a far journey, taking with him 2 oxen, one named Shahraba, these are obviously Hindu names, and the other Bandaba. And on the way he came to a bog in which, this is translated from the Arabic, mind you, through the Pahlavi, the Persian, into which Shahraba promptly got stuck. They managed after considerable labor to pull him out, but now the beast could not move. The merchant therefore hired a man to look after Shahraba and care for him until he could regain his strength, when he was to bring him after him. In a day or two, however, the hired man wearied of his charge and left Shahraba to his fate. So what happened is these merchants are going to a place, they've got 2 oxen, one falls into a bog, gets sick, they have to leave him behind. The man they paid to watch him just takes off. A typical medieval sort of business environment. hastening forward to rejoin his master, whom he informed that the beast was done for, killed, or died. But after a little while, Shatrabha recovered, and then he's all alone, he's free, and wandered off in search of pasture. Presently he came to a broad meadow adorned with all manner of succulent grass and aromatic herbs, such as the Garden of Eden itself would have bit the finger of envy to behold, and paradise looked upon with eyes wide open in amazed stupefaction. Shatrabha approved of it heartily and stayed there for a long while, chewing the rich cuds that fortune had put his way. It was not long before he became fat and prosperous, and the insolence of ease and the intoxication of plenty overcame him. So he lowed with ever greater sprightliness. Sprightliness, lowed meaning let out sounds of contentment. Now there lived in these parts a lion, and many wild and savage beasts attended upon his command. This would be the king. The lion comported himself amongst them like some arrogant, self-opinioned tyrant. It so happened that he had never seen an ox, nor heard its bellow before. So that when Shatrabha's lowing reached his ears, he was seized by fear and panic. Not wanting the other beast to discover he was afraid, he stood his ground quietly and made no movement in any direction. Among his retinue, as we're getting into the personnel of this book, were two jackals, one called Kalila, the other called Dimna. I'm reminded of some cartoons when my kids were young. There were two, I think it was two coyotes or something. I can't remember the cartoons that they used to have these two little animals in them, but they were very much like this Kalila wa Dimna, two jackals. One was very cunning. Dimna was more ambitious and had grander ideas. Kalila was more cunning, Dimna was more ambitious. One day Dimna said to Kalila, "What's wrong with the king, do you think?" The lion. "He sits all the time in the same spot, doesn't stir an inch. He seems to have given up hunting entirely." So Dimna is always asking, querying, looking for trouble, if you like, and Kalila is always careful, sitting in the back. He says, "What business is this of yours?" Kalila said. "Why do you question things that don't concern you? Mind your own business." So here it's teaching you how to live in a world peopled by powerful persons. So here you keep your nose out of business that doesn't concern you, lest you get into great difficulty. We're comfortable enough living here in the court of this king. We don't hobnob with monarchs. We shouldn't aspire to be honored and taken into their confidence or expect them to listen. So Kalila always gives the conservative, rational answer. Stop your foolish chatter. If anyone presumes to meddle in matters he's not fitted for, the same thing will happen to him that